Alright, hello. The Shadowgrapher is out and people are not really happy with Foley's mission, but I'm not here to talk about that. Today I'm here to talk about the new adversary weapons and all three of them at the same time, and I have a bunch of builds for all of them except the Kuva Ghoulsaw, which will be limited to one build, which is my opinion the best build for it. So let's get right into it with first of all going through the Coda Bubonico, which in my opinion is the best out of three. And I mean, who could have not seen it? It's the Bubonico. On a Coda version. Everyone from a mile away the moment this weapon was released, they were losing their shit. But this weapon has more than just stats. Its sound design is superb and reminds you of the scratching disc record. And it has a lot of nice sound effects when it comes to, you know, music and creating music or DJing and all that. And it really is awesome in general. But its stats, aside from that, are quite stupid, so let's take a look at them. If we take a look at the stats alone, we'll see 27% crit chance. This is 2.3. It says 3.5 because I have the Kava Tenacious Bond mod, or, you know, Tenacious Bond for companions. And then the alt fire is 5, 3.5, and 61%. Now, don't be fooled by the 10% status chance you see here. 10% status chance on this weapon is extremely high, because this is a shotgun and it's status chance per projectile, which means that this is actually, in reality, a 70% status chance camouflaged into a 10% status chance. The math isn't exactly like that, but when you have a weapon with 7 multi-shot and every pellet has 10% chance to hit, that means that all of your pellets together have a approximately 70% chance to give you a status effect. Which means the status chance of this thing is in fact really high, considering it's a shotgun and multi-shot can be multiplied. This already on its own is a very strong weapon. Now, I will show two builds, but the third build I will briefly go over because a lot of people said this is a primer, and yeah, sure, you can do that. Just like the regular Bubonico, you can build it like this and build it as a primer, and it's fine. Oh, by the way, whenever you see this ribbon, just replace this with a heat mode. The ribbon disposition is 0.5, which means it's so low that this barely does anything. The multi-shot's nice, the projectile speed nice, they're nice quality of life, so I use it, but the heat is so low that if you actually use a 60-60 mode, you're probably gonna get better results than this. So don't worry about it too much. For the actual build, the main one, we're gonna be using, of course, primary cracks to take advantage of that new fairly high status chance, and we're gonna be modding for blast and electricity. Now, if you mod for blast and electricity, the primary fire of the Bubonico, or the Coda Bubonico rather, has innate toxin. I don't know why they did that, but it does. It has innate toxin. The alt fire of the Bubonico has innate viral. So this means that just modding for blast and electricity, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get 8 elements covered in one weapon by just modding for electricity and having the magnetic progenitor. You can make this 9 if you want by replacing any mode here with the radiation mode and atomic fallout, but I don't really need to do that. This already deals so much damage that it's absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, right here, if you wanted, you could in theory go for primed ammo stock. However, Shotgun Elementalist also gives magazine capacity, and the status damage is really nice since we're going for blast, so I'd rather have the status damage on top of the magazine capacity. I'm gonna showcase this weapon and build on the regular Steel Path Ani, because this mission, in case you don't know, compared to mod has no nullifiers, and since the enemy level is only a difference by 20 and Jade Shadows made level 100 to level 200 basically identical, the enemies die pretty much the same. But yeah, when I was taking this weapon, I was taking all 3 Coda weapons, I had 3 mods on this weapon and it was easily killing everyone. So, in case you don't know, the Coda Bubonico, the more you shoot it, the faster it shoots. So, it is really strong in the nature that its primary fire just absolutely shreds through everything, and since its primary fire is also multiple, it will do a shit ton of damage if you combine it by priming with the alt fire. But the alt fire itself is so strong that it can kill on its own. So, you're kinda left with 2 firing modes that absolutely shred anything, regardless of what you do. And if you're someone that for some reason struggles with Steel Path still at MR17, because this is a high MR weapon, but with 3 mods I could easily take care of Steel Path without any buffs whatsoever with this weapon by just aiming for the head. Granted, this weapon blocks a lot of your vision, so aiming for the head might be hard, but I mean, it does have multico, so as long as you have galvanized aptitude for shotguns, I don't remember what the mod is called, but you know what I mean. you won't have any type of issues. Even if you find some difficult high-level enemies, some Eximus, you alt-fire, you shoot their head, and then they die. But even like this, only with the fire rate buff from Wisp and no other buffs, I haven't activated the Eclipse, this still does so much damage that it just melts through everything and everyone. The Coda Bubonico stats are really stupid. If you had a weapon, or you could pick any weapon in the game, and you couldn't put any mods on it, you were not allowed to put anything on it, I think this, or the Cedo Prime, might be like the best primary weapon in the game without mods. That's how stupid and strong its stats are. Like, it covers too many elements, it has a lot of multi-shot, a lot of status chance, a lot of crit chance. It just kinda has everything. And its damage, its base damage is nuts for a shotgun. It ends up being this insanely good and strong weapon. Also, one thing they made with this weapon is that if you actually ran out of ammo, instead of waiting 1.5 seconds to recharge, you start recharging it instantly. So if you can play around that mechanic, you can recharge your shots quite faster. But this is still slow compared to the second build I'm gonna show, so if you wanna pray and pray, the second build will be much more to your liking. I think you're gonna like it way more. But this is still really strong. So second build for the Coda Bubonico is purely alt-fire focused. Remember, if you see this ribbon, replace it with any heat mode of your liking. You will see primary overcharge. It makes complete sense since it's alt-fire, you get multi-shot, you throw more of them. The important part is that you actually use vicious spread as your damage, because vicious spread lowers your accuracy and your alt-fire just starts spreading into more and more areas. Because your accuracy is lower, and because more alt-fires go to different areas, you cover a larger amount of area to do damage. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't care about doing that, you can replace vicious spread with prime point blank. And if you don't want to use overcharge because you don't have a Warframe that abuses it very well, then feel free to use primary merciless. This is still absolutely goated with primary merciless. I want to mention two things. First of all, we have every magazine capacity mod in the entire arsenal of shotguns, and this brings us to 112 magazine. The regular Bubonico I think would go up only to 87, so this is a huge increase to your DPS potential because you don't have to reload as often. But the most important part when doing this build is that you equip lock and load on the actual Bubonico and the synth set through your secondary by having synth charge on your secondary and synth deconstruct on your pet regardless of what pet you're running. This will make it so that holstering your primary weapon, or your Coda Bubonico at this case, will reload it super quickly. Now to showcase this most efficiently, I will go Mirage. I have a specific Mirage build for primary overcharge, which is by far the best thing I can use here, and it has 1 armor shards, 2 yellow shards for maximum energy field on spawn, and 2 primary establishment shards, which are fill. You don't actually need to go this, you can go purple shards for primary electricity. This is really up to you. And the build abuses the fact that you can get health conversion for more armor and combine it with Arcane Battery to reach way over 1000 energy and proc primary overcharge. Then we have Arcane Tempo for the extra fire rate to the Bubonico, and Equilibrium plus the Panther Vulpaphyla with Synth Deconstruct to get all of our energy back if we ever use it. And finally, Energized Munitions to just keep shooting, spraying and praying. Now, it's really funny because if you have the shoot manual weapons continuously option from the accessibility settings, if I can find it, if you have this enabled, then you can just hold your alt fire button and it will just keep shooting. And it actually benefits from the passive of the Bubonico that if you keep shooting, it keeps shooting faster. So it becomes extremely overpowered when you actually do that and combine all of those together. We're gonna see it in action. This is definitely my favorite build of the day, and if you want to try any build out on any of the weapons showcased today, one of them should be this one. Because look. I mean, and look, I'm gonna run out of ammo, swap weapon, swap back, we're full ammo again. Like, it's so stupid fast. This is as fast as the regular explosive weapons, and because it's a battery, it has infinite ammo. This is so good. And it fixes Bubonico's biggest downside, which is that you have to wait for the battery. And it changes it to recharge so quickly. So you can easily just go through the mission like this and just absolutely destroy everything. Like, my god. Look at this. This is so dumb. I'm painting the tiles at blue. As you can see, with this build, primary overcharge, 350% multi-shot, plus vicious spread, you have a huge spread on the actual radius of the Bubonico. And you can get more AoE for no reason by doing this and abusing this. And if you have a Warframe that does good damage buffs like Mirage, Siren, Cyto 9, whatever you want, then this just completely breaks. It's so funny. And yeah, simply switching weapons instead of reloading is just absolutely diabolical tech on this weapon. The holster mods are just so good at it. Overall, you don't have to do this with Mirage, by the way. I tried every other Warframe with this kind of build by just swapping primary overcharge with primary merciless. And this is absolutely diabolical regardless of what Warframe you use. It's just really funny on Mirage because you just get to paint the tiles at blue. Mirage is kind of the best Warframe in the game right now, so I completely understand that some people might say, oh, but you're using Mirage. But trust me, this, if you're using this build on any frame, this works. And if you're using it on something like Gauss, something with extreme pirates, this just gets way too out of control, and it's so funny. You must try this build. You really need to try this build. Up next, we have the Tenet Quanta, which actually, it's not that great, but it does have something that the other Quantas doesn't, and that is a better alt-fire. But I'm not gonna go through the alt-fire just yet, I'm just gonna talk a bit about the primary fire. If we see the primary fire, we have 31% crit chance, 2.5x crit multiplier, remember, Tenacious Bond, it adds plus 1.2 to the base stats. And then the status chance per projectile is 26%, which accounts for a 52% status chance on the actual weapon because we have a multi-shot of 2. This is already really good. You might say this and you're like, wow, these stats are amazing. And they are. But if you take a look at the other Quantas, and specifically the Quanta Vandal, you will see that the status chance is 45% here. And since this is a beam weapon that is based on electricity, this makes a huge difference on your overall DPS. It actually is diabolical difference. The crits aren't that substantial for this to matter, and especially if you have a Riven, like I do, then this really doesn't matter, and the the Quanta Vandal just straight up out damages the Tenet Quanta in terms of primary fire, which is kinda sad. You can easily just go with this build on the Tenet Quanta directly, and I tried different progenitors. I think Magnetic Progenitor is really good. I think Electricity Progenitor is really good. Going for Blast Electricity is good, but your Progenitor doesn't really help there, so you might as well go Magnetic again. But in general, this is considered the best single target beam weapon in the game by far. And Quanta Vandal still holds that spot because of the Riven disposition being extremely high on this weapon, while on the Tenet Quanta it's only 0.5, and the fact that its base status chance is just so much higher that it makes it completely outclassed. It's just so outclassed. Even though Tenet Quanta is really good, it's still like amazing in terms of single target, and its primary fire is still amazing. You don't quite get that substantial of a difference. It's not actually that strong or even stronger than the Quanta Vandal. But there is something you can do with this weapon that is completely stupid. And if you're a Siren main, you're gonna love this. And if you have been watching my channel, especially recently, you kinda get the idea of where I'm getting at. Combustion Beam. It's back, and greater than ever because of this weapon. Its alt-fire is so unbelievably buffed because it has 100% base status chance, and its explosion radius is increased. I'm not sure by how much, but playing both weapons, I can tell you for sure this has higher explosion radius. And of course, Prime Firestorm does work on that explosion radius. So the idea is, because you're playing Siren's Toxic Lash benefits from any type of elemental modes directly as if you build for Toxin. It doesn't matter what elemental mode you use. So if you're using Prime Cry rounds, then that goes directly onto Toxic Class and increases the damage. Same for Malignant Force, same for everything else. Now, if you don't have this, because I know most people don't have a Riven, you can simply go with any type of base damage mode, because as you can see, this build doesn't have any base damage, so you can easily go Serration or Amalgam Serration. Or you could alternatively go for Hammer Shot if you have it, because it's gonna be more status chance, more crit damage in case you do get those crits, and it's gonna look even funnier. But this on Siren you need a Bane mode for sure before you ask that. And if you're like, I don't know what Bane mode to put, just put the Bane of Orokin or Bane of Grineer in the bag, depending on what kind of mission you're playing. Oh, I'm playing Void Cascade. Alright, put Bane of Grineer. That's it. It's that simple. And never remove it. You don't have to actually change it. Just put Bane of Grineer and keep it there. Forever. We hate the Grineer. Terminal velocity is really strong because it makes the alt fire just go quicker, and it will make it so that you don't actually have to shoot it yourself. And on low enough levels, you can simply walk through the tile set by shooting on the floor and just keep moving. But we're gonna see this in action on Ani again, because it is actually diabolical. This is the actual build that we're using, and rank 2 stretch, in case you haven't watched the actual video, because combustion beam is exactly 18 meters, this makes our spores spread radius be also exactly 18 meters, and combustion beam can spread the spores. However, the Quanta Vandal is actually so strong with combustion beam that you don't even need to do that, because the alt fire does so much damage and puts so many statuses on everyone, plus the virals, plus the blasts, plus the electricities. It's completely stupid. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So we just need any type of room, like a dead end on this one, for example. This works, and we just throw a cube, shoot it, and anyone that gets caught in its radius and dies will just spread combustion beam. So it's kinda like acid cells, but on crack, because it just keeps spreading on its own if it keeps killing enemies. But the amount of damage this deals feels the same as acid cells, because enemies just explode all at the same time very quickly. And of course, as I said, you can just walk through the tile set by shooting through the floor and letting the Quanta Vandal just kill everyone like this, as you can see. Honestly, there is this... It's so dumb in general that you can actually just do this. And you could probably just run through exterminate missions by just shooting Quanta Vandal alt fires to the floor without even exploding them. Because not exploding them is like completely dumb. You don't get any type of damage by not exploding them. It's such a bad thing to do. And yet it still works because it has so much base damage. And Siren plus combustion beam. I mean, look at this. Siren plus combustion beam. It's a so good. It's absolutely diabolical. It genuinely feels like using acid cells, but on an explosive weapon. It's really strong. Definitely give this a try, especially if you're someone who likes Siren. For Cyro 9, of course the alt fire works, and the alt fire will still deal a lot of damage, like a ton of damage, but combustion beam doing this is not an actual thing. Same for Araxia. Araxia won't do this with combustion beam, but Araxia can still walk through the mission by just shooting alt fires like this. So that's pretty cool. Overall, this is an insane combination of weapon and Warframe. I think Siren is just the best at this because of the interaction with Combustion Beam and how Combustion Beam interacts with Toxic Clash and just, you know, doing this shit. Like, why the hell are enemies dying all the way over there when I'm here and I'm just taking care of my business? This is like the lowest cortisol gameplay ever for this character, and enemies just keep dying on their own, like right over there. I'm not even doing anything and they'll just keep dying. I'll let a clip play where you can see like how long this actual interaction can go on, because yesterday I was just showcasing this to a friend and I might have had the longest chain that I've ever seen in my life. Check it out.
Bro, that's gross. Why would you do? Why have you done? It. Man. Don't let the CN region get a hold of this.
Like, yeah. Look at this room. You see this room?
What room?
Next room.
I don't see a room there.
It's gameplay, I swear. These guys are still dying.
This is gameplay, I promise. Guys are still dying.
Why are they still dying?
What's the KPM looking like, boss?
Well, I'm on 150.
Pretty disgusting. Disgusting.
Look, the spam alt fire. Keep moving. Like,
Bro.
why are they still dying? Why are they still dying?
Fucking 40 miles away.
Where are they dying? What are they dying to? What is happening? I don't even have roar anymore. They're just dying to
They're dying to cringe.
Stop dying, please.
Stop dying, bro. I beg of you.
Stop.
This is a character of all time. Bro.
It's still going.
No, spores are gone. Fucking, it's still going.
It's still going. It's still going.
And
Is this? Has it
What a-
stopped? Did it stop?
no, no.
It stopped. It stopped. Oh
stopped.
my god. For the final weapon, we have this comically large sword that is so big. It's actually like insane how big this weapon is. I was so surprised to see it, and I'm really happy to see it. I got a really good roll on this on the first try, lucky me. It's still kinda underwhelming, not because the weapon stats are bad or anything, but because the stance kinda sucks. Like, sure, the stance is fun, it has really good animations, but it's just weird. For example, if you do a heavy slam attack, you get a second attack after the heavy slam that does 200% damage. If you walk forward and just hold E, it just keeps doing this soul blade attack where you hold it forward and just keep attacking people. But that attack doesn't actually do any damage. It does only 100% of your damage, so it doesn't hurt them at all. The regular just hold E spam and the regular right click and hold E is really good. And this is good mobility, but both of them kinda have issues. The saving grace for this weapon is definitely the heavy attack. And if you have the new Tenokai mode, which is what, Truth's Flame, I think? I don't have this yet, but if you have this Tenokai mode, this definitely helps this weapon out a lot. But I feel like this Tenokai mode is kinda helping weapons that are mostly using their heavy attacks to just keep using their heavy attacks. It's not the greatest, it has its situational purposes, but I think Opportunity's Reach is just king, especially on a lot of weapons that have really high follow-through, like this one. This one has 100%, so follow-through, in case you don't know, is the amount of damage that you will do to multiple enemies if you hit them in one swing. So if, let's say, a weapon has 50% follow-through, then if you hit 3 people with the same attack, the first enemy hit will get 100% of your damage, the second enemy hit will get 50% of your damage, the third enemy hit will get 25% of your damage, etc, and it just keeps going down. Weapons with this low follow-through, if you hit like 20 enemies at the same time, you basically see zeros and ones in your damage, regardless if your weapon can damage cap or not, because it just keeps going down and down and down over and over again. 100% follow-through is definitely the saving grace for this weapon, but I do wish its stance was a bit buffed to make this even better. Now, the build we're going for here is a hit balance bonus with gas afflictions. Gas afflictions on this provided some insane gas procs, and I think it's definitely the strongest thing that I could do with this. I tried blast electricity, I tried gas electricity. It doesn't really do as well as just gas afflictions, and you know, those electricity builds are obviously with influence. Influence, if your weapon already has 100% follow through, it doesn't really feel that good and the damage isn't really great. Obviously it's more AoE, but when it comes to dealing a lot of damage with a weapon and taking care of tankier enemies, gas afflictions is easily your best bet, because afflictions will proc from your block combo and it will also proc from your heavy attacks, so definitely go for that. If you're someone who loves the Ghoulsaw, you will definitely like this weapon a lot. This weapon is a lot of fun, and compared to the regular Ghoulsaw, it's also way stronger because of the base stats increase. It's not a very strong melee weapon, like at all. Fun is always above everything else, because I mean, melee weapons are already super strong on their own, so it doesn't really matter. When playing, do not use this attack. As you can see, this attack, it just kind of blows. It doesn't really do anything. Like, but the heavy attack is really good. So my recommendation is to either use the regular melee swings like this and not hold W while attacking, or use the right click spin blade attack, this one, and then follow it up with a heavy attack. This is by far the best combo you can do if you can use it at the same time. Now, granted, this requires you to proc Tenokai, but the results will really show. The results are great, and obviously doing that combo is really fun, but sadly, aside from mobility, that combo is not really good. I just wish this stance had a bit more damages. Like, sure, we can keep this for mobility. This is really nice to have for mobility, so you can get closer to the enemy and just keep attacking, but the block combo being the only good one kinda hurts this weapon. And even if it's the only good one, unless you do the final attack and you proc afflictions on the target you want to kill, it's not the greatest. But I will say that this is a very fun weapon. The damage is sufficient to go through base steel path, and even EDA. If you ever get Ghoulsaw on EDA, you can actually run it now without having any issues whatsoever. But overall, Yeah, Gas Afflictions is definitely the saving grace because of the 100% follow through and the fact that a lot of the attacks have some kind of knockup. If that wasn't the case, then this would be dumb. But can we please buff this one? I would love to be able to just run through enemies like this and just keep killing them. But at the moment, even at like base heal path level 120, you see it's like kind of struggling unless it's a corpus enemy. It's not the greatest really. So I just hope that we see some kind of stance buff or even a new stuff. Like a new stance could go really hard on these weapons. The heavy attacks are good, so if you just add more different combos to a new stance and just make the damage actually worth it and worthwhile, you could make this a really strong weapon. But as is right now, the new Tenokai mod was basically the biggest buff that it got because you can just spam heavy attack into a heavy attack the next group of enemy and just keep going. I'm personally not a fan of the new stance or the new Tenokai mod, but you know, more power to you if you like it. One thing I will say about that new Tenokai mode is that if you are a Chroma player, it is like a saving grace for you, because you can proc it very easily, and then you can just heavy attack the air, proc self damage, and just go about your day, which is really cool. But yeah, Kuva Ghoulsaw is still a very fun weapon, just wish it was a bit stronger. So yeah, those were the 3 adversary weapons. They're all really fun. Some of them, specifically the Coda Bubonico, is completely overpowered, and I think it's one of the best primary weapons in the game right now. Tenet Quanta is a hit or miss depending on what you want to do. If you want to do the Siren Shenanigans, then definitely go for it. It is one of the best abusers of Combustion Beam. And yeah, I think this is a very solid lineup for the new adversary weapons. I just wish this one was a bit buffed through its stats and not just base stats, because I just want to fulfill my fantasy of having a big ass soul that just runs through the enemies. That's pretty much about it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching another video of mine, and I will see you on the next one.